Welcome to Charmed Life, a radio show discussing spirituality, magic, and the unconditional love of the universe. Thanks for tuning in. And I am your host, Tricia Carr. Thank you for joining me today. I want to remind you that you can watch this live every week at 11 a.m. Pacific. You can watch it on my website, actually. We have a broadcast window there at triciacarcharm.com/charmed-life, or you can watch it on my YouTube channel. We live stream there, youtube.com/Tricia Carr. I also post other videos there besides the Charmed Life episodes. And just yesterday, I actually posted a brand new meditation, Diamond Ray Activation. So go check it out, subscribe, like, share, and comment. And of course, you can find us on any podcast outlet as an audio, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify, I don't know, other ones too, however you get your podcasts, you'll find us there. And I want to encourage you guys to go to my website, and if you haven't yet, to sign up for my newsletter, because I have my Mystic Arts Academy going full bore now, and one of my programs is for intuitive and mediumship development. And so we're actually offering free readings to people who would, like to sit for some of my students. I have some of them are advanced practitioners, professionals, and so it's a pretty amazing opportunity. So if you go ahead and sign up for my newsletter, you'll be able to stay on top of when that is being offered. So go check that out, triciacarcharm.com. It'll just pop up, the newsletter sign-up thing should just pop up for you. And additionally, just go to my website and check out what's coming up in my Mystic Arts Academy. I offer classes. They both are live streamed online, so you can join us online and also in person if you're in Los Angeles. So just go check it out. I'm really excited. And hello to the Lightworkers Lab, the online spiritual community hosted on Facebook, of which I am a teacher and a guide, founded by my amazing friend Crystal Ann Compton, who was on just last week. We had so much fun last week. It was my birthday. We had a troll. It was just great. So it was really super fun. And anyway, so about today's show, I am so excited to talk about this because I know nothing about it. We have in studio a sought-after expert and consultant on animals and CBD. She has over 5 years experience in the cannabis industry. She's worked with clients like BarkBox and Caesar Milan. Oh my gosh, you got to hook a sister up. I want to meet Caesar. Welcome to the show, Erika Valentina Doria. So nice to have you, Erika.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, I'm really excited about today's conversation because
I am too.
I don't, again, like I said, I know nothing about it.
Yeah.
Kurt, how is her mic placement?
Okay.
Can you pull it up a little bit? It's pretty good?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Okay, pull it up.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
good. Cool. It's live, y'all. All right, great. Well, I mean, first let's start. Tell everyone, first of all, your company is called Cannibal, and that's in the show notes, however you're watching this in the repeat or whatever. You'll be able to click through and find the website. Tell us about your journey. Tell us about your work. Just get us into.
Sure. So I am the founder of Cannibal. It's Cannimal. Cannibal is it's a brand, it's a product line. I think of it also as a community of people who we are exploring this world, this new world. Mm-hmm. It's a new frontier in animal health and wellness. That's really how I think of it. So the way I got here is quite interesting. I've always been an animal person.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe you might call it like a kinship, this special thing with animals. I'm a third-generation horse girl. I actually ended up, after graduating from UCSD, I wasn't planning on it. I ended up training horses for almost 10 years down in San Diego.
Oh, nice.
I also have a background in healing arts. I'm a trained yogini, and I sort of have combined all these things over time as sort of this approach that I have to animals. And then about 5 years ago, my guides and angels were like, it's time for a major change. And I didn't know what the heck was going to happen. No idea. All I knew was that I needed to quit my job, sell my car, move out of my house.
Oh my gosh.
And trust that something was going to come my way. And I knew it had to do with animals because I had taken a break for a little while. It was weird. It's a very strange story, but it all comes together. So what ended up happening, I got a call from a friend. I want to also add, I was doing the Lakshmi mantra when this was all happening in my life.
What's the Lakshmi mantra?
Om Shreem Lakshmiya. Oh my God, I can't remember right now.
Well,
But
that's cool.
It's
We'll all look it up.
It's the Lakshmi mantra. Lakshmi is the goddess of
Yes.
abundance and
Kurt's going to look it up for us
expansion.
right now. Yeah.
And anyway, so I was doing this mantra. I get a phone call from my friend. She's like, I know somebody that could help you make about like $8,000 cash a month. You want to
No.
get in it,
Ew.
on it? I was like, sure.
Yeah.
Turns out it was working on cannabis farms.
Wow, cool.
Yeah. So I took it on. I just thought it felt like the right thing to do. This was back in the day when you could make cash on cannabis farms.
You can't anymore?
Not in this way.
Just because because it's flooded now?
It was a black market world.
Okay,
Most
got
people
it,
who have been in this industry for a while all came from the black market, to be honest.
Which is actually fortunate because they have plenty of experience then.
Yeah, I mean, this is what is informing the process. Some of the most high-paid consultants that I know were definitely involved in that side of things. And so, I got into that, and I just dove into the plant. I fell in love with the plant. I love all plants. I have a background in herbalism and trained in that for a while. So I just really fell in love with the plant. She's a very special being. And at the same time, I realized that I wanted to do something special for animals. I had a dog named Ava. She had cancer. About a year before this whole transition took place, she died. And, I didn't have the confidence or the knowledge back then. And this was only in 2013 that she passed. It's not that long ago.
Right.
But there wasn't any information online. I think I found one company online that was selling CBD for animals. So I ended up just, exploring it for all the different modalities and all the different things that cannabis is effective for. I really try to, I use the word cannabis, even though I'm referring to hemp, referring to CBD, THC, et cetera. It all comes from it's all the same plant at the end of the day.
Can you tell me, because someone
it's
told me once that basically the hemp plant and the marijuana plant are different. Are they?
Well, they are and they aren't.
Maybe like as sub-varieties or something like that? Okay.
It's like roses.
Right. Okay. That's what I figured.
There's a lot of, they're all a rose.
Or just like dogs. You know what I mean? There are different breeds.
Yeah. And so they're bred and they're cultivated to have particular qualities, which in this case is certain certain terpenes, certain cannabinoids. And that's where we're at these days. And it's become a major science. A lot of people are putting a lot of money into it right now. So,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so you were working in the fields and you fell in love with the plant and you already have the herbalist background. And so you were just really set up to go.
Yeah. I just got involved in the industry. It was like one day I was working on a farm. The next day I was working in a startup in the CBD industry. This was back when CBD, people don't realize, like, CBD's been around for years. It just took this huge wave. There's a huge wave of it coming right now.
CBD was legalized before, like recreational marijuana not in the United States, but in California, right? Because I thought I remembered seeing CBD without THC available.
THC was, the regulated market in California was initially focused on THC in medical cannabis dispensaries. You can buy a CBD
tincture.
Yeah, but it might not be hemp. It cannot be hemp related these days. You cannot buy a hemp related product in a California dispensary.
What?
Yeah, it's interesting.
How? Okay. What?
So you can't buy a hemp related because in the state of California, we have something called seed to sale.
Okay.
So the product has to be grown in California because we can't ship medical cannabis over state lines.
Okay.
And so basically you have to be able to trace that plant from the day that it's grown to in the state of California. And on top of that,
point of sale.
to point of sale. And and hemp is just not in the same class of plants in the current marketplace. So it's really complicated, and this is why it's
but marijuana is so basically is hemp. Wait, are you saying that hemp is not really legal in California, or
no, it's legal?
It's just not grown as much.
Just not. It's not. Doesn't travel through the medical cannabis marketplace.
Okay, it hasn't been. Is it maybe something that's developing just because it's still pretty like the whole legality of it.
And when I say
structure?
medical cannabis marketplace, I'm referring to dispensaries.
Right, okay.
But you can go, I mean, in most parts of California, there's a store somewhere near you that has CBD right now, hemp CBD, hemp derived.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
All right, cool. Well, let's get back to your journey with animals.
So
it's really, it's so interesting because we have had this really magical herb, this, being that's a part of our ecosystem that has been withheld from us. And I mean, we don't have to go into the history of it. I think we basically know, most of us know why it was withheld from us and why it was criminalized and everything.
Well, and I want to add something that people don't think about. We still have a really long way to go.
Yeah, I think so. It's brand new, really.
The regulation is still, it's ridiculous. It should be completely descheduled.
Right.
And the reason for that is, I just want people to consider there's a lot of herbs that you can get over the counter, such as kava. Okay? If you took kava the way that some people smoke cannabis, if you took it that often, you would end up in the hospital.
Oh, wow.
In fact, you could probably kill yourself. Cannabis, you actually really cannot kill yourself. You can end up in some pretty dark places if you overdose on THC. But it's not gonna kill you.
And I did overdose on it. That was not the last time, but a registered nurse told me that because I had been using it regularly, and this was, how old am I? So this was about 24 years ago. So when I was like 21 or something. And I had been using it regularly for about 18 months. Of course, it was totally criminalized. And I really spun out. It was really bad. I think the first time, it happened only twice, and then I had to like just go, completely abstinent. I think the first time I started to have a bad experience, it was actually the first time I ever ate it. It was in brownies. And so the idiot who made it may have just put way too much in there.
It's pretty normal.
Yeah, exactly. And also it's harder because it's now in your digestion and it's unfolding little by little. But then the next time that it happened was probably about I think maybe a month after that. But I was just smoking it, and it was like a switch flipped, and I was in like basically a state of hallucination that I couldn't turn off. It was mostly auditory, but I'm mostly auditory anyway. And so, and it was weird because that lasted a lot longer than any like regular high ever did. Because you can kind of make your high go away. Like you can harsh your buzz really easily. Parents walk in, right?
Yeah. One really interesting thing that has been found is that CBD actually turns down that psychoactive element of THC.
Okay.
So if you were in that situation, the next step, if you have
it balances
mind,
it,
is to take some CBD because of the way the actual science works, the way that the so cannabis works with your endocannabinoid system, and what I want to get at here is, we have so much to learn. And it's so important to just take, especially for people who are really new to it. There's not a lot of information out there like you think there is. There's a lot of people talking, but a lot of people don't really know.
They're not really experts.
Yeah. Yet. And, I'm not a medical doctor, but I take I think the way that I like to promote, to think about this is people are using it. We can't stop people from using it. So we need to create, I felt like I needed to create some kind of framework for my customers to administer and dose their animals in a way that makes sense. And I think this applies to animals or it applies to humans, because your situation is very common. And it can even happen with CBD. It can even happen with CBD. Yeah. Some people have, if you take too much, you can feel a little funny. But it's important to start low, go slow, titrate up. That's our mantra in the cannabis industry. It's actually based on a really old kind of folkloric approach, or, like a herbal folk medicine approach.
I love it.
It's just, does your body want it?
Right.
Pay attention. This is like where it gets into the mindfulness practice and the presence of being with the plant. Is your body attracted to it? Yes or no? Right. Muscle testing is another way of testing these things.
Right.
Okay. Even I have some customers who will put it in front of their dog You know, and if the dog's like, yeah, give me some. Okay, we go for that. I even have stories of this one woman. She had 2 dogs. You know, one would go straight to the bottle every time. The other one was like, hell no, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
So, and they're such pure channels, right?
Yes. However, I want to caution people too. Not they are, but they're responding to us too. So I just want to caution people, like, you know, your animal, like saying, you know, being attracted to something because they would also be like my cats like the smell of bleach.
Yep.
And that's clearly not okay for cats. But I just want to make sure. You know, they shouldn't be. They actually shouldn't be in nature. They would never be exposed to bleach, so they can't have an appropriate reaction to some things because of the situation we put them in. Yeah,
which leads me to the next thing, which is we don't just dive in and go, okay, I'm going to give you a bunch of this, to see how it works. Right. Let's start with a very low dose. And see how you feel. We know the science says that it takes 30 minutes. There's a 30-minute onset. So we wait, we check it out, we see how are you feeling? We give you a small amount, and usually it's about 10% of body weight in milligrams to start. So if you had an 80-pound dog, you'd give them about 8 milligrams to start.
But that would have to do with your formula. Because it could be stronger, right? It could be more intense.
It's milligrams or milligrams.
Okay. Of THC, cannabis, of what?
I'm speaking of CBD right now.
CBD, got it. Okay, cool, got it.
Yeah, I don't really advocate for giving dogs high doses of THC.
Right.
Because there are studies that show that they're more sensitive to THC.
I think that's my deal. Well, so then my last story of being exposed to CBD, I thought it was just, not CBD, THC. I thought my friend gave me honey, and he said it was CBD, and so I assumed, I know nothing about it, that it didn't but maybe it was the CBD. But I was just seeing the 4th dimension, and I didn't wanna. But see, the thing is, what was interesting about it, because it is a truly energetic, a truly spiritual experience, it was uncomfortable because I was so stimulated mostly with my body and energetically, like, to speak about it in an energetic sense, all of my chakras were like super wide open. So I felt like I had no skin on my body, but I wasn't afraid. Whereas when I was 21, my overall vibration was oriented to fear. I was not as, whole or healed. And so it was like scary, that was scary. I was seeing the fourth and fifth dimension, and I couldn't stop it, or I was hearing it mostly then. And so I just kind of rocked myself through it recently. I'm just like, it's going to go away soon.
Well, this kind of brings me back to some of I really believe that this plant is a very intelligent plant. It's a more intelligent than the average plant out there. And if you spend time with these plants, which is one of the things that I'm so blessed that I got to spend time on these farms with these plants. They call them the ladies on the farms. Oh. They're all female plants.
Yeah.
They're extremely sensitive plants. They're extremely intelligent. And they really pick up on what your vibe is. You could be in a farm with a farmer who's out there talking to his plants every day. They play music for them. Those plants tend to be pretty special. If I was smoking, that's the one that I would want to be smoking, are those plants.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. So what I'm getting at is, what's really cool is you can really work with this plant when you get to a certain place with it, where you can set your intention with the plant.
Right.
In ritual.
Of course.
It doesn't matter where you get it from. It doesn't matter if you get it from a dispensary, you get it from me or your friend. Downloading that medicine, spending time with your medicine before you take it, a little bit more as a sacrament, which is how I experienced this when I was young and living in Northern California, and watched these hippie girls, doing their magic with the plant. And it really informed a lot of my process from a young age. And now we're at a point where, oh God, the amount of science that is going into it is so needed. It's so important. It's amazing. At the same time, it's still a very magical plant. And when you get into the science of it, even the researchers, I was just looking last night, I was preparing, even the researchers are like, the deeper they get into the cannabinoids, meaning THC, CBD, it gets like the going down a rabbit hole. It just has, it'll open doors over here sometimes, and sometimes it won't. And, you know, it's in the actual receptor system, in the endocannabinoid system. It's just super complex. So,
is there any other plant that is this magical in
don't
its
think so.
more like raw, natural form? I mean, obviously,
well, you have psychedelics. and
psychedelics,
things, but
mushrooms and stuff like that. I guess they are, but they are more. They don't necessarily have the medical applications that we see with the CBD, right?
I mean, it depends on. We just don't know.
We're
yet.
not using it that way. We haven't been.
Yeah, there's
perhaps
people
that as well.
using psilocybin for in clinical settings, but I really believe that the plant wants to. It's ready. People are ready.
Right.
You know, the collective is ready for this to happen, and it's going to open up. It's going to. This is what I really think of it is in a futuristic perspective. It's not only going to open up people's third eye. A lot of the receptors actually for cannabis are in your brain.
Oh, absolutely.
In your
hypothalamus and your pituitary and
in
your pineal.
And also in your gut. So, right, what do we got here? The full chakra system getting activated, right? It's going to open people up. It's going to tune us in and tap us into whole new ways of thinking about how we feel internally, how we work with our animals' health. And what I really think is interesting is that our animal friends, a lot of people are actually more comfortable giving their dog or cat CBD than they are themselves. They're more willing to try it out on their dog. So there's nothing wrong with that. But their dogs are portals. I mean, I have customers where, you know, I got on an Instagram live with somebody and they started asking me questions. They were terrified. And now she's probably one of my most regular customers.
It's so funny because we're so conditioned for it to be criminal.
Yes.
My husband plays tennis, and he's actually like last night and today, which is kind of funny. He hasn't used it in a while. He had maybe a little spasm in his hand, and he's been using his CBD topical. And he's like, it's really helping. And he has like tennis buddies who are in their 40s and 50s, and they'll say to each other like, do you have any CBD? do you? And he's like, dude, you guys sound really old. Like, it's not illegal. But they have like 40 years conditioning of it being like naughty.
Yeah. I mean,
do you have any weed? It's like, it's actually really not.
Yeah. And the same with THC. It has its place in the medical cabinet that we're going to be exploring in the next 50 years. It has its place. And by the way, we have a ton of receptors for in your endocannabinoid system is very activated in your skin. So that's why CBD works so well topically. It's almost mind-blowing how well CBD works topically.
Now, I have some that I got to use for menstrual cramps to put topically, but it doesn't seem to work for that. It seems, I wonder if those organs are just too far away for it to be, you know, it's too deep in there.
Well,
I mean, my husband's putting it on muscles that are just below the
I would
flesh.
suggest trying a lube of some kind.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. You mean like a suppository kind of deal?
Or they actually have like CBD or THC lubes that are used for pain or they're used for pleasure. Personally, like I actually, despite my involvement in this industry for so long, I'm actually not someone who uses cannabis on a regular basis at all.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
So my background is in spirits, but I mean like as in booze and cocktails, and I don't drink cocktails. I was a mixologist, and I just don't like cocktails. Oh, it's not that I don't like them. My body was too sensitive to drink them regularly. I mean, whether it's the alcohol or the sugar. So that makes a lot of sense to me. You're like a skinny chef. That's what I used to call myself.
Well, the thing is, I'm very particular about when and how I use it. I'm not going to say that I never use CBD or I never use THC, but I'm very particular. And actually, my favorite way of using it is as an aphrodisiac.
Oh, really? So
cannabis lube is epic.
And so you use it as lube in particular?
Yeah, it's amazing. And you can use it for cramps in that way.
Okay.
A lot of people do it. In fact, using suppositories, like for people who have lower back pain.
Yes.
Would
you use maybe sorry, I'm going to say the word anal suppository for like a lower back pain?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. It would be really, it's actually really effective because
the colon's more outlined about in the back area.
Cannabis, in my experience, it likes to go to where the ailment is, if that makes sense. It likes to, when you have something going on, let's say you have anxiety, a great way to work with it is to take it either sublingually or smoke it because it crosses the blood-brain barrier much quicker that way.
Yeah.
And this is another reason why, with Canimal and all my customers, I'm like, don't put this in your dog's food unless he refuses to put it in his mouth.
Right.
Or if maybe he has a gut, thing going on. That's where you'd want to put it into, like if they've got inflamed bowels, right? Put it in the food. But it's actually absorbed much more effectively through the mouth, through your mucous membrane. So a dog who has anxiety, right? I want it to go right in there, in their mouth. And then pain too. It's hard to do topicals for animals, except for maybe, I think horses, we'll see a lot more topicals for horses come along. The horse industry has kind of a way to go. We both work with Sapphire Sanctuary. A little shout out to Sapphire Sanctuary.
It's a sanctuary here in Southern California, in Sun Valley, actually. So go check it out. It's really beautiful. Even if you're not local here, check it out and send a donation.
Yes.
It's a beautiful place.
Yes, ma'am. So I love what they're doing there. And so, they are the perfect example of, they've been using it topically with a lot of success. But there's a long way to go for horse people. And it's also it's just not so, it's a little cost prohibitive.
Yeah.
For a 1,000
giant animal.
For a 1,000-pound animal. Yeah. So
well,
we'll get there.
The first time I ever went to Sapphire, which by the way, I should say it's spelled Saffyre. Yes. The first time I ever went, Esta was showing me, Callie is the name of the elder horse there. I think he's 34 now. I think he was 33 when I first met him. And she was showing me pictures of a really, like a chronic abscess he had on his little wrist near his hoof. And that it had, by using the Canimal in like a couple of weeks, I think it was, it had reduced, nothing had been working. And it had gone down to like probably 30% of the situation. It was amazing. She showed me these pictures.
Yeah.
And I think that, so what are some other amazing stories that you can tell about how it's helped with animals?
Gosh, I mean, probably the number one reason people are using CBD right now is for anxiety in their pets.
Yeah.
Our animals are little mirrors of our vibration, our frequency, and they're space holders too.
Yeah.
And, we live in a much more anxious world these days. And we live in these animals are in cramped spaces. They're left alone all day long. So we have separation anxiety, like an epidemic. I swear, I just never heard so much about separation anxiety 10 or 15 years ago when I was training horses and talking to people about animals. I'd work with people's dogs then too. It was like, we never heard about these. It was more of like aggression related issues.
Things. But chewing is it can
kind
be
of
separation.
Yeah. So anyways, I have dogs. I mean, these are dogs that like could never be left alone, that can all of a sudden stay home. And their animal guardians actually have like the baby cam that they can watch on the phone.
Yeah. I have that.
I love that. And then I work with some really wonderful canine rehab specialists in San Diego. One's a chiropractor. One is actually a rehab specialist. She has like a swimming pool for dogs in her space.
Yeah.
And we have tons of great responses to the product there. And these are dogs that are pretty, a lot of them can't walk, or they barely can walk, whether it's due to injury or they're just, senior dogs. So
I have a friend, and I'm about to do a session for them. They have 3 dogs, and they're actually Great Danes, so they're large, obviously, really large dogs. And the one of the dogs, who's actually the youngest one of the 3, they're all adult, but the youngest one, she is attacking one of the other ones, but only when the people come home. And they're outside all day long by themselves. But I'm wondering if that could be used part of their therapy. Yeah.
I am still in the process of writing a book about anxiety in dogs, and it's called Calm Your Paws. And I did a bunch of research and found that, behavior modification works. Like, let's say you have an aggressive dog like that. You can do your behavior modification, but when you add in a supplement, the rates of success go up. They skyrocket.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, like, I'm not here to just give you the relax formula so you can just,
dose them all day.
Dose them up all day and leave them home. No, I'm really an advocate for, let's work with your animal. Let's come up with, some sort of program, or work with their local dog trainer, where you come up with some sort of program that's consistent, that works. It's one thing I learned from horses. You've got to be consistent.
Yeah. You do. And the reason we have to be consistent with our animals, because we're asking them to adapt to our lifestyle, and we've told them, I'm a guardian. I can take care of you. I'm going to take care of your food, your exercise, your emotional well-being. And they've chosen that on a soul level. That's why they're with you. But that's why they need us to give their bodies something that feels secure. As much as their spirit can connect with our higher self and everything. It's like, if we aren't connected to our body and giving them some kind of consistency, then their bodies are going to become reactive, and the brain or aspect of the mind that is connected to the body will then spin out in that anxious expression, because they can't. Who's the captain of this ship then?
Right.
If you're not going to give me my food at the same time, and if you're going to come home and be in all of your fear responses, then I'm going to assume there's something to worry about then, because you're having survival fear going on because of the fight you had with your boss or whatever, all of the different things that we have going on that's non-present. Sorry, I went on a thing.
No, I love that. It's exactly part of the approach that I encourage is, look, this is a whole new world for you and your animal, right? Giving them this product, and the whole idea is just to spend time with them and to observe them and to be a part of their process, so that and I always say to people, no one knows your dog as well as you do, or your cat or your horse. Nobody.
Right.
They're on a soul level, on a just everyday basis. No one knows them as well as you do. So drop in. Your dog may need it today, or he might not need it tomorrow. And I like that it encourages that kind of interaction and connection, because what you're doing and what people are, this whole new world of animal health and wellness that's coming up, the meditating with dogs, the animal communicators, animal intuitives. I mean, it's really starting to take off. It's always been here, but I can see it's really starting to take off. And I think it's part of what's, it's this new age of Aquarius. It's here. We need to all, as a collective, with our animal friends, we're raising our consciousness, right? We're raising our frequency together. And that's what excites me about what we're up to.
They're so present. They're so amazing.
They are.
And actually, if, as Erika is saying, to drop in and connect, sometimes when people will reach out to me and they'll be like, I don't know I think my cat is trying to give me a message. I don't know what they're saying. And it's like, they're so present. They're just like, I see you. I love you. The end. You know what I mean? Like, they're not, it's not some complex thing going on.
No, it's not.
And not because they don't have complex feelings and thoughts. They do, but they're present. And in the present moment, you know what I mean? Like, this is it. We're just here to love each other.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Actually, one of my cats, his name is Con. And a couple of days ago, we were just like loving each other. And I just said to him, I'm so lucky to have you in my life. And he just like, again, it sounds like, if you read it on paper, it sounds like it's deeply sentimental, but it's not. It's kind of matter of fact. He goes, luck has nothing to do with it. We chose each other. And, we're like, oh, and he's like, but that's just illogical. It's not luck.
Yeah.
Luck is when you're like trying to test the moment to see if you can trick yourself into that simple elemental experience of taking away all of your safety measures, you know what I mean? And then allowing yourself to be in the moment and the flow of the universe. And we didn't do that. We actually really thought about it for a while and chose one another, is what he was telling me. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, he's beautiful.
He tells it like it is.
Yeah.
That's how most of them are.
Yeah.
Not all of them. They all have their little ways. Some of them are more tricksters.
Totally.
Some of them are much more like sweet, little sweet presentations. But I like Con.
Yeah,
he's very. I'd get along.
He's pretty direct. And then I have my Delilah, who's my little former feral. She was 3 months, out in the wild of Burbank. And then she came to live with us. And when Con actually came into our family, he was already adult. And he doesn't really like cats. And Delilah was like pushing his buttons a little bit. And I asked her, I was like, honey, please, Delilah, I just want it to be peaceful. And she said to me, and now I'm translating it into human vernacular, but she was kind of like, just trying to keep it peaceful all the time is not going to move the needle. This guy needs to like get it. He's got to mix it up and get in with things. And I was like, all right, can we split the difference between moving the needle and having some peace? She's kind of like, I'll consider it.
Oh my gosh, cats.
Yeah.
I've always had dogs and horses.
Yeah.
But not as many cats. I've worked with a lot of cats. And I have some cats that I'm very close to.
Yeah.
But cats have their own particular wisdom.
They are definitely different. I saw this meme of, there was like an Egyptian cat, and he's speaking to like a current, domesticated cat, and he says like, "Hello, young one. Are they still worshiping us?" And the current cat's like, "Well, I shit in a box and they pick it up." And he's like, "Excellent, excellent."
Totally.
So what are some of the ways that some stories about how CBD has been helping kitty cats?
Oh my gosh. The one, I have a friend who has actually moved quite a bit with her cat, and she actually took him. His name is Loon Bear. Hey, Loon Bear. She took him to Mexico, from San Diego to Mexico. And then, I don't know, maybe 6 months later, she had to move back to the States and took him to Indiana. And that's quite a lot for a cat, especially because they're such territorial creatures. And he's a very sensitive, a little bit of an insecure cat. He's pretty, he's not like an in-your-face cat so much. He can be, though. Anyways, he has had a bit of trouble adjusting. And it's been also, he lost his brother in Mexico.
Oh,
and
he passed away.
His cat friend, that had been with him for, I don't know, maybe 8 years or 10 years or something. Yeah. So there was a lot of change going on, and he just wasn't able to settle very well. Yeah. And it's also, of course, and my friend would totally say this as well. Her energy has been very unsteady. She's been moving a lot. So he's her little
mirror.
And so, actually, I think they're both taking CBD very, very successfully.
Good.
And he's just chilling out, and, they're both sleeping better at night. And it's all about, her experience of working with him has been with the CBD is just when he needs it, he needs it. He doesn't need it all the time. But she knows him so well, and she's a very intuitive human. So she taps into him, and that's probably one of the ways that I think their cats typically don't have a lot of anxiety because they're just not highly anxious.
They can't be bothered.
Yeah.
They do sometimes, though. And there are, like you say, some more sensitive, naturally more sensitive.
They are.
Run a higher energy, have a different purpose so that they're, like I have my big brother of the whole colony, of our whole family, is my Barnabas. And he's more highly strung, but he doesn't have anxiety, but he is always like, he's always watching and taking care of everyone. He's really amazing because he takes care of everyone and he's looking out for them. And he tends to run really lean, I think, because of that. And he eats a lot. So he's actually, 7.5. So, he's slim. And Kurt found the meme of the Egyptian cat and the and the modern cat. Anyway, so yeah, he tends to. So I think that's how he kind of balances it. He uses a lot of calories and it keeps him really lean. I say he has a Hollywood body because he's like
a Hollywood body.
yeah, he's all slim
Hollywood
and
cat.
Yeah, I'm muscular. And so I have a friend who, and because she might be listening. So I have a friend who has a kitty cat who does seem to have some anxiety, and he will do things like chew on plants that are poisonous, which she like is really trying to keep away from him. Not poisonous, but maybe not healthy for her. But she's in love with the plant too, so she can't get rid of it. She's like, that's my baby too.
Yeah.
And he does some other things, some other ways that he's acting out, I guess you would say. And they put him on Prozac, of course.
Yeah.
I mean the doctors, and then but it seemed to, as Prozac or some of these other more these harsher drugs, they took away a bit of his personality. And he actually, when I was communicating with him, he kind of just said, he felt like a bit diminished. And so she eased him off. And that's the thing too, is how it is these more harsher pharmaceuticals. You can't go off and on. Like you're saying, you can gradually dose whenever it feels like it may be necessary.
And you'll see an effect usually. If you don't see an effect from a product, there's a couple different things. I would love to talk about this because, yes, first of all, pharmaceuticals, it's the main reason people are turning to CBD. And the top two reasons that people are using cannabis-related products, CBD-related products for animals are the same reasons that they're going to them for that humans are using them. Pain and inflammation, anxiety and stress. When we say pain inflammation, it can mean a lot of different forms of inflammation. It doesn't mean just
it can mean
from
gut.
working out.
Yeah.
Gut inflammation. Just general body. Everyone is suffering from some form of inflammation at some time. I mean, right?
Well, yes, because again, the context that we live in is not natural. We don't live in nature.
Exactly.
It's interesting. Even if you live, I had a client the other day who was in Indiana, I believe, and so that's a lot of farmland, and she's experiencing a lot of inflammation. And it's because the farmland is all genetically modified organisms. And so, even though it's seemingly more natural than me living in Burbank with all of the cars driving around all the time, there's something else going on.
Yeah, we're constantly having to. And that is one of the most wonderful reasons it's here, right? It came at the perfect time. We need it because it does work so effectively for inflammation. It's amazing. When I tell people that you should feel when it's working right, it literally feels like your body is sort of deflates. You know that feeling when you're laying on the couch and just your shoulders drop and you take a deep breath. It's like that's the feeling. Everything kind of goes.
It makes so much sense because you're applying nature. And it is natural to be present, and it's natural to be relaxed and to be in this moment. And so if you're applying nature in a concentrated way, I mean, honestly, essential oils can do that for us too, because the vibration of these plants is higher than ours. And so if we introduce it into our energy, if we introduce it into our own vibration, the strongest vibration will influence the one that is weaker. So by having the intention to move into it, to move into the vibration of this plant, then we'll be able to be more natural, which is higher vibration.
Absolutely. Yeah, the biggest question that people have is, how do I know if it's working, and what do I do if it's not working? And there's a couple things. First of all, the body really needs what the science shows. Let's put it this way. Typically, the studies show that we need a tiny bit of THC in these products and for them to work effectively. Okay. But that's not always the case. It's not all the time. There are some people that do not need any THC near them whatsoever. Okay. I've seen it happen with animals, the same. And there's also some people and some animals who need more THC. Okay. This is all dependent, and this is why I want people to really open your mind and to understand that there's the thing that's really going on is we're getting to know the endocannabinoid system. Okay. This isn't about a plant. And so this is about the endocannabinoid system.
And everyone's endocannabinoid system is different.
Totally unique.
My husband had 2 times for recreation marijuana, and I think both times both times it was edible. And it's like a friend who's like, "Oh, this will really get you effed up, dude. Be careful." Like my husband's so sweet. Like he didn't even try marijuana until like he was 40. He just hadn't been interested in it. And so then he like ate a whole thing, and his friend was like, "I have a half of one," and I'm like, effed up. And he's like, nothing.
Doesn't feel anything.
Another time, same thing, another friend who is a regular user and he doesn't feel anything. Is that means maybe that he is not so sensitive to THC? Because that's what we're expecting.
Yeah.
There to be a THC response. And then I have all the THC response for the whole family.
Yes, you do. This is a perfect example of someone who...
Probably the whole neighborhood. I'm like, no
like
THC.
You and I are probably similar.
Yeah.
The endocannabinoid system is a system of receptors in the body. It's really new, but it's mostly...
new? Like new anthropologically,
well,
biologically?
People
or
are just now beginning to talk about it.
It's
because
new in our awareness.
In our awareness.
Okay.
Because we hadn't really been looking into cannabinoids.
Yeah.
There's over 100 cannabinoids. It's not just THC and CBD. There's over, I think it's 113 that they found so far.
Naturally occurring.
Yes. Yeah. So we still have a long way to go, everybody. And so, the endocannabinoid system regulates homeostasis in the body is how they describe it in words, right?
In words, yeah, got it.
What does that mean? It maintains balance in the body. It maintains that feeling of balance in the body. The way that it works is THC locks into a receptor. This is based on science. THC locks into receptors in particular ways, which is there's a magical kind of complexity to the way THC works with the receptors. But it does essentially in a basic, simple way, locks in. And then what happens is CBD comes in and actually modulates the receptor.
Interesting.
Where the THC locks in. This is why it can turn down the effect. It's like a volume on a
it's a modulator, right?
Yeah. It turns down the volume or turns up the volume on the cannabinoids. Your body has natural endocannabinoids that mimic THC. So you can get high on your own supply. This is the whole point.
Well, you can anyway. Well, that's absolutely true.
You've got the system.
Yeah, these are all tools. Now, here's what's interesting. So
tools.
You can have real, true spiritual experiences with, psychotropics and, ayahuasca and mushrooms and everything. The thing is, generally speaking, now I'm not a doctor or anything, but those are not sustainable. You couldn't do that every day. Your body, I know with ayahuasca, when you take it, vomiting is a part of the experience. Vomiting means that there is an overdose going on. Yes. And so that means that the body is not totally aligning with it. So now I don't know much about how much you should dose with that, but as I have friends who say that it's just a part of it. So that's not a sustainable experience. Yeah, exactly. And the thing is that sometimes when we use a tool to be able to have an experience, we're actually giving our sovereignty over to the tool. We don't believe that we can have the experience on our own. Yeah. And we're basically putting that as a god. And so that's how we can have experiences that we either can't duplicate, we can't go because we can't find the door again because we don't believe that we have access to the door, or we have negative experiences. And so I would never do ayahuasca or mushrooms because I know I'm very sensitive and I don't need that doorway. I'm already, talking to ETs and everything, and subdermal elementals. So I'm good with that. But with cannabis, it is much more gentle. It is much more in alignment with our bodies.
It is. It's still, and it's also is
generally
a portal.
Speaking, obviously, very generally speaking.
I do believe that it has its place right now with the general collective consciousness needs a way to tap into these certain frequencies and knowledge of their body system, of their energy body. Cannabis is an excellent teacher. And when I say cannabis, everybody, I'm talking about hemp, CBD, cannabinoids. I'm not like this one-track mind person. I respect the Latin name of cannabis because we can't get stuck in these polarities around cannabinoids. It's a ridiculous waste of time. So cannabis really is a wonderful teacher in terms of opening you up to your energy body. It's amazing. But like you said, it can't depend on it on a daily basis because I actually had a teacher when I was in my 20s, like a master teacher of mine, and she said to me, look, cannabis, weed actually it opens your third eye, but it can actually turn your third eye in on itself, which results in what?
That bad trip that I had when I was 21.
Trips, the paranoia on a daily basis a lot of people end up having, or they get kind of this, you can actually see it. It's like a foggy sort of internalization of their experience.
Yeah.
You know? So I am in full agreement with you. I don't think we don't
need it.
But
we may use tools. We don't need any tool. No. I mean, I had 2 eye surgeries last year, and I didn't need them. Well, I was going blind, but you know, on some one level, I needed it. But I actually had a QHHT, quantum healing hypnosis technique, where we went into my subconscious mind, asked my subconscious mind, can she heal herself without the surgeries? And subconscious mind said, of course, she doesn't want to. She wants to experience through science this healing.
Yeah.
And okay, great.
Right.
And so that's what I did. And it was actually really fast too. It was a really fast way to experience the healing. And that's cool. It was a tool. The science and the surgery was a tool.
Yeah. And some people don't, some people really don't. It takes commitment and self-discipline to get your body in a state of such high vibration to actually get your glandular system working so that you've got everything operating and firing at the right frequency, speed, and properly activated at all times. So, I'm a believer though that our animals and our human, all of our friends. When I say animals, I'm speaking of humans too.
Right.
We're at this moment right now where the plant wants itself to be known. People want to, and the animals do need a lot of assistance right now. They are very stressed out, is what I see again and again and again. They're just as stressed out as we are. So they need some assistance. And, there's also dogs like working with rescues. I work with another rescue called Speak for the Unspoken. They're amazing. They're in the Midwest. And they actually work with animals who are handicapped from the get-go. So they're blind, typically blind or deaf. And these are a lot of the Australian shepherds, those breeds that tend to go blind. And, we should give them a chance at life and also assist them in dealing with the stress of their everyday life, when you're blind or you're deaf or you're in pain.
Right.
So I think that there's a lot of value in it. Also, end of life. I have a lot of cancer dogs because of my story with my dog Ava. A lot of cancer dogs that show up in the cannibal community. And, a lot of those dogs are getting over. I mean, it's amazing. There are stories where these dogs are overcoming their cancer. And I would never in a million years say that cannabis or THC, CBD cures cancer.
Of course.
It can assist an animal in its process, whether it's taking chemo or it's using, it can slow down tumor growth, that kind of thing. So, but yeah, they deserve to have this assistance that they get from the plant in the way that it's coming out right now.
Well, and the thing is, again, the medicine doesn't cure it. It's a tool for us to connect with nothing heals us, actually, except for ourselves. The natural universal healing agency heals ourselves. Anything that we use, if it's chemotherapy, surgery, medicine, cannabis, is really just holding space. It is a tool that's holding space for us to connect with the natural universal healing agency. And we have a whole branch of science now, science, y'all, that agrees with that. It's called epigenetics. Epigenetics says that it isn't really a predispositioning of our genetics. It's how we are responding to those genetics. And things like, what's interesting, epigenetic studies show us that people who are adopted, they actually inherit the same genetic diseases as their adoptive parents, which means it's their beliefs. It's not, that would be a belief set. It's a response to their genetics. And of course, they also can inherit the same, supposedly, diseases of their adoptive parents too, but there's something in the bloodline energetics that they are picking up on, the ancestry that they're picking up on. So, you know what I realized as I was explaining my especially the more recent time that I was exposed to THC. And when I like I said, I could see the fourth and fifth dimension, and I meant with my eyes open. And if I closed my eyes, I could better control it. This was before I had those eye surgeries, when I was going blind. And I feel, as I was talking about it, I felt that I had been sort of in a lot of anxiety and a kind of resistant state and panic about losing my sight. And it was still when I was trying to decide if or when I was going to get the surgery. And so it was kind of like my excited and anxious question that I was not paying full consciousness to was sort of answered. Like that I ingested said, okay, you want to see. There's some seeing for you.
Absolutely.
And and I was
she could definitely show you a few things.
Well, because she was responding with my imbalanced energy about it. And that just all kind of sunk in for me. But again, I was going through the door without consciousness. And we are like overtime now, huh, Kurt? So
okay.
Any last words? About, I mean, Cannimal.com.
Yeah, www.cannimal.com. There's tons of info on there.
And even if someone isn't local, you can order it from the website, right? The different,
you can order
whatever
it
you
online.
need for your animals.
I'm on Instagram. Just search for Cannimal on Instagram.
Great.
And there's tons of testimonials on there and tons of reviews. Everything's going really well, and it's exciting. And I always encourage people, just DM me, send me an email if you have a question. I'm here to kind of move the conversation forward and help people get the best response, and help, in an effective way.
So join the Cannimal community.
Yes, join me online.
Join the new frontier of animal wellness, health, and consciousness.
I would love to hear people's response to all of this, because it's not the typical conversation.
Right.
Most people are not talking about a lot of this stuff, but I want to hold space for it because it's super important. So thank you.
Oh my gosh.
For giving me this opportunity.
I'm so excited to learn more about it and to I want to learn more about it, and I start to recommend it too. I subtly recommended it. The friends I was talking about, some of them were clients.
Thanks, Tricia.
I want to let you do that. So thank you so much for your work. I'm super excited about what that means for all of us.
Cool. Thanks.
And thank you all for joining us. You can find this on YouTube and on podcast outlets, of course, and join us live every Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific. Check out my website, TriciaCarrCharm.com. Follow me on social media at Tricia Carr Charm. I'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. I love you, whoever you are.